very warm welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko. The year 2014 is gradually coming to an end. He's beginning to pack his bags, as it were. We thank God Almighty for keeping us thus far. And it is our prayer that we will all live to witness the year 2015, the year of legislative and presidential elections, and that our businesses will grow. In the week of Monday, October 20, not so good news filtered in to the effect that the price of crude petroleum on the international market had fallen to $85. It has since fallen to $80 per barrel. It was not unexpected. Like Americans would say, we had it coming. But nobody would, however, deny the strenuous efforts of the federal government in making sure that Nigeria prepares for a rainy day. Talk about the excess crude account, into which money earned from excess revenue from sale of crude is kept. And how does that money arise? The government has over the years used benchmark prices for crude petroleum far below what is expected to be the price on the international market. And it is that excess income that we save. Talk about the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Talk about the efforts of the Federal Inland Revenue Service in ensuring that Nigeria achieves a higher ratio of non-oil taxes above oil taxes. The efforts of the different stakeholders in ensuring that, like we did in 2008, that Nigeria survives this present problem is what this episode of Tax Matters is all about. And I'm very happy to have with me on the episode, Christina Pius.
Hello, viewers.
You know, Christina, talking about the efforts of the FRS, enforcement has continued across the land.
Yes, it has.
You want to fill us in on what happened in the last few days?
Definitely. Two separate crews of Tax Matters accompany the FRS Medium Tax Office, Lagos Mainland, and the Aguda and Isolo Micro and Small Taxpayers Offices on enforcement visits on alleged tax defaulters. The visits lasted for 3 days. On Monday, the 27th of October, the Medium Tax Office enforcement team visited 4 companies. At the first company, the Human Resource and Admin Manager was taken away by the enforcement team as top management staff of the company were not around. They had not responded to the letters written to them by the FRS.
Sir, what's the issue?
I said tax matters.
Tax
of the, you have tax that you've not paid. It's a crime in this country. Where is your MD? I'll seal up the place.
Just enter there, so you prefer to sacrifice yourself. Just enter, no problem.
At the second company, the managing director was first resistant, but after much discussion, a commitment of 3.5 million naira was made in writing, and a meeting was scheduled for the next day.
I don't like that camera to be taken focus on. Hold on.
This is a national assembly.
It was a similar occurrence at the third and fourth companies visited. Commitments of 500,000 and 5 million naira were made in writing, and meetings were scheduled for the next day. On Tuesday, the 28th of October, the enforcement continued. 4 companies were visited. The first company had their account ready but had not been filed at the FRS due to the death of the managing director.
The
MD is dead.
Are you aware that it's a criminal offense for not filing?
Why not?
Okay.
Very much.
Like I told you, we are having issues because of the death of the MD.
You know what I'll do for you? We're trying to be considerate because of the brief of your MD. Yeah. Give me a commitment in writing now.
Okay.
That you do the filing within 48 hours. Then that your finance man and your consultant will go and meet them to resolve the outstanding audit issues.
They wrote a commitment letter promising to file and reconcile their accounts with the FRS within a week. While at the second and fourth companies, the financial controller and the human resource manager were taken away due to non-filing. The story was different at the third company. The accountant was about to be taken away, but his managing director and financial controller called and asked that a commitment of 2 million naira be made in writing, while they would show up for a meeting with the FRS team the next day for further discussions.
Special Enforcement Agency from Abuja. There are close to about 50 with me right now, with mobile police and the pressmen. That the obligation we have to them, filing of the returns and our outstanding, close to about 21 million, have not been paid. So they are here now to get a check And they say without that, say that they are taking me to first to Ikoyi before I go to Abuja.
It was a similar experience for the FRS team with the Aguda and the Solo micro and small taxpayers offices. On Monday, 27th of October 2014, 3 different companies were visited: an hotel, a printing press, and a small organization. Meetings were scheduled for the first 2 companies, while the manager at the 3rd company was taken away. On Tuesday, the enforcement team visited a restaurant at the Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The owner was taken away, while at the 2nd company, an industrial estate, a commitment was made in writing.
Thank you, Christina. Tax dodgers, beware. The tax collector is on your street.
Beware.
We move on. By sheer coincidence, 2 events took place simultaneously in the week before the Great Fall. And by more coincidence, the 2 events took place in the oil-rich South-South region of Nigeria. Talking about Delta State and Akwa Ibom State. In Delta State, where for more than 3 years now, the mantra has been Delta Beyond Oil. The Joint Task Board met for its 130th quarterly meeting from Monday the 13th to Friday the 17th of October 2014. Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, played host to members of the Monitoring Committee for Accelerated Revenue Generation and Enhancement of Petroleum Profit Tax and Royalty, who were meeting for the 2014 interagency retreat. First, the Joint Task Board story. Members of the Joint Task Board, led by Alhaji Kabiru Mashi, chairman of the board, and acting executive chairman of the FRS, converged first in Asaba, the Delta State capital, and then in Warri for the quarterly meeting to discuss matters of common interest to tax authorities across the country aimed at further smooth running of the system.
On the 14th of August, I represented the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy to present our report at the National Economic Council meeting on multiple taxes and levies. The content of that report includes draft list of taxes and levies administered by various tax authorities, highlights or review of the taxes and levies approved list for collection act, and the roadmap for implementation of the recommendations on harmonization of taxes and levies across the country. One of the major resolutions by NEC members at that meeting was the need to expose the report to state attorney generals for their inputs, particularly in the areas of review and amendment of the taxes and levies approved list for collection act. In this regard, the council directed that 6 attorney general, 1 from each geopolitical zone of the country, be invited to make inputs to the report. Conclusions reached at the 2 different meetings of the nominated attorney generals on 28th of August and 8th September were as follows. 1, that taxes and levies approved list for collection should be looked into with a view to bring it into conformity with the 1999 Constitution as amended. 2, that in the meantime, each and every state legislature in Nigeria should be encouraged to enact laws to codify taxes and levies collectible at the states. 3, that the draft list of taxes and levies act should act only as a guide for the states, as the list is not exhaustive. 4, that the attached draft schedule of taxes and levies collectible by the 3 tiers of government be presented to NEC for approval and implementation in the interim, and that it was desirable to publish the list of taxes and levies collectible by federal, state, and local governments for the information of the business community, relevant stakeholders, and the general public.
Other issues in the chairman's report include the revised Pension Reform Act, on which a paper was later presented, and the new national driver's license and the new vehicle number plates being handled by the Federal Road Safety Commission in conjunction with State Boards of Internal Revenue. The host chairman of the Delta State Board of Internal Revenue, touched on the menace of multiple taxation.
The theme of this meeting, achieving improved internal generated revenue without multiple taxation, is apt and very relevant, bearing in mind that the state of the Nigerian economy and the enormous potentials yet to be tapped. The recently released World Bank report on doing business in Nigeria for 2014 ranked us as 147th in the world out of 189 economies. If we take a closer look on the tax administration indices, the result is even more worrisome. We are ranked 170 in the world, declining by 3 positions over 2013. This, in my view, calls for an urgent review of our tax administration initiatives and procedures, and particularly the issue of multiple taxation as it impacts on the economy and investors. We need to take heed to ensure that multiple taxation in our economy does not indeed hinder our growth.
Technical papers were presented on achieving improved IGR without multiple taxation and the revised Pension Reform Act. There was also a paper on presumptive tax and a new draft stamp duty amendment bill. And of course, GEMS, Growth and Employment in States, an initiative of the Adam Smith International being funded by the UK DFID. Major highlights of the 130th quarterly meeting of the Joint Task Board include the addresses of the President and Chairman in Council of the CITN, Mr. Mark Anthony Dike, and that of the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Mr. Boboye Oyeyemi, as well as courtesy visits on royal fathers in Delta State. On the national driver's license, the Corps Marshal had this to say.
We are making progress in the establishment of more workstations. When I resumed in February, we had only 88, and today now we have 129 workstations. And I want to assure you, before November ending, early December, we'll have established the remaining 71 to make 200. That was the target, that before the end of the year we'll have established 200 workstations, and they're all running. The second one is the issue of the fake driver's licenses. I can tell you authoritatively that this has dropped. We must appreciate and acknowledge the support of the Department of State Services. Some of our staff were involved, some of the BR staff too were involved. They were picked up in many of these areas. And there have been our own staff with discipline that we've dispensed with some of their services and handed them over for prosecution. Some cases are in court now. I want to check this touting and malpractices. We are relocating most of these workstations that are located in FRA. I've started with Rivers. Promptly we got the support. So some critical order, like Anambra, will need to relocate that of Newi. You must provide in your own office or another location. I don't want workstations in FRSC buildings. Enough is enough. Enough of this touting, enough of this malpractice, so that we now know who to hold responsible. And that's why fake license is going down because of the verification. And now that we're having more workstations, it's easier to get a license 6,350 than to give touts 20,000 or 15,000. On the number plates, I can say so far so good. We have materials that can produce for 1 million pairs of number plates as I'm talking to you, so we don't have problem. One area we have not focused so much is the issue of motorcycles and the articulated vehicles. I raised this issue in Benin, and the ordering level is still low, when we know that very well that a lot of trucks have been trailers and tankers have been registered now. It's supposed to be free single plates, but most states are not. So, and we're going to start clamping down when we commence the end of year patrol operations. All those trailers with 2 single plates, we're going to deal with them. So there's need for the states not to register trailers and tankers with a pair of numbers. It's supposed to be free. So
you are perhaps wondering why we have devoted so much time to this matter, or maybe also what has the Joint Task Board got to do with the Federal Road Safety Commission. Now, as the law stands today, the states, through their respective boards of internal revenue, are in charge of collection of road taxes. That is the law. The law also permits the Federal Road Safety Commission to coordinate the production and issuance of national driver's license and vehicle number plates. Now, the Federal Road Safety Commission has a seat on the Joint Task Board, just as each of the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. So the Joint Task Board oversees, regulates all matters relating to road taxes. At the end of it all, a communique was issued.
The board deliberated on various issues and reached the following major decisions. That members should implement measures that will make tax administration simpler for taxpayers, encourage voluntary compliance while applying the full weight of the law on evaders. The Federal Road Safety Corps and the Joint Task Board shall take necessary steps by resolving issues associated with the issuance of national driver's license and motor vehicle motorcycle number plates across the country. Measures are also taken to address illegal activities or touts and unauthorized persons involved in producing fake driver's license and national number plate. The validity period for temporary driver's license should not be more than 2 months.
Tax Matters sought clarifications on some of the issues thrown up in the communique. What measures do you have in mind that will make tax administration simpler and that will encourage taxpayers to pay? We note with pleasure that 2 items in the communique involve matters around the issuance of driver's license and number plates. Are we to take it from you that measures have been put in place to ensure that there's a quicker turnaround time?
In terms of enhancing tax revenue, making tax administration easy, we had a very comprehensive paper that actually motivated us on how to increase tax revenue. You see, we are to liaise with other agencies. We are also to use technology. We apply technology towards getting information and assessing people. By so doing, it will be very, very easy. You know, with the use of technology, you can now assess people worldwide. We are also to liaise with sister agencies like the custom, immigration, and so on and so forth to get information. We are also to get further information from other tax authorities through the team. You can easily have information from other tax authorities, including the Federal Inland Revenue Service. By so doing, we'll be able to assess people easier without heat, and it will thereby increase our tax revenue.
We're trying to demystify taxation. A lot of time, people have this wrong notion about taxation. So we're trying to get people to understand that it is a law, it is a requirement, it is a tax that you pay that helps the states to do what they have to do. So we're creating that awareness, educating them. So when we come and talk with them, we're drawing them to understand that they need to take ownership of their states, of what happens in their states. So with those type of awareness creation, we're having a lot of sessions, a lot of we have meetings, we have jingles, we have forums and all.
What we actually discussed is how to create a tax-friendly environment that will encourage taxpayers to pay their taxes. Especially, like my colleague mentioned, to demystify tax payments. You know, tax is a commodity nobody actually wants to buy. But then by the time you create an environment that is friendly, people will be forced to come and pay their taxes. And more also, we want a situation where people walk into our offices and pay their taxes, especially in the licensing industry, in the licensing sector. Go into the office, do not transact your licensing outside the office, so that you'll be able now to identify who did what for you in case of the fake you were talking about. Every effort is being made to prosecute anybody that is caught But you cannot catch somebody outside the office. Doubts are always there. If you walk into the office, you'll be able to identify the table and who gave you what at what point in time.
What road safety is doing presently is to open up more workstations. More workstations will make most centers available for people to go and get captured. And importantly, applicants should know that if there's any license you are told or given and you are asked not to go for fiscal capture, then that license is fake. You must go to a center, get yourself fiscally captured, and then wait. As for the 60 days, one want to hit the 60 days mark first. That is what we are striving towards. And then we'll now begin to reduce the 60 days to a more manageable time.
We also want you to talk about the TIN, Taxpayer Identification Number. In recent time, NIMC has stepped up efforts, and the talk around town is like, oh, that can be the only one. Is the TIN project or the Joint Task Board still on course?
Thank you very much. Before we talk on the TIN, it's important to add also that at the end of this meeting, members recommended to the National Economic Council on the need to review the Taxes and Levy Approvals or Collection Act, Act 21. The part of the recommendation is to review the taxes collectible, the list of taxes collectible by each of the 3 tiers of government. The schedule has stipulated taxes collectible by federal, state, and local government. We have further recommended that the list should be used as a guide because taxation is on in our constitution is on concurrent list, and in some cases states can come out to enact law on certain levies and rates, and they can also codify taxes and levy administered in the state, particularly the local government. And some states have already enacted such laws that have harmonized collection of taxes and levy in the local government. Then, looking at the issue of taxpayer identification number, TIN, the federal government, perhaps you are referring to the circular by the federal government where the National Identity Management Commission has been empowered to anchor all process of biometric capturing system in the country. What that means is that all other systems, namely the taxpayer identification number project, the driver license administered by the Federal Road Safety Corps, the international passport administered by the Nigerian Immigration Service, the voters register issued by administered by the INEC, and of course the Population Commission that conduct census. All these agencies should harmonize their activity in a way that citizens can easily get their means of identification. And what is also required is that easily this agency should also exchange information. For example, if you register with NIMC for national ID card, those information about the citizen can be transferred to Joint Tax Board or any tax authority, and it can be used to issue out TIN without the person necessarily going to undergo the process of registration. That is just to simplify the process.
Every day, my people dey for work. Some dey do office work, some get them own business. So all of them want good road, constant power for better life. Whether na office work, oh yeah, pay your tax. Whether na your own business, oh pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility, pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook am. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, portable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
Because of time constraints, the story of the interagency retreat, which was held in Uyo Akwa State, will come to you next episode. That's a promise. We thank you most sincerely for watching. From Christina.
Thank you for watching and bye for now.
Have a blessed week ahead.